A fairly hard slap on the judicial wrist for the Justice Department from a federal judge in Texas. He wants hundreds of DOJ workers to brush up on their ethics. Chief Legal Correspondent Shannon Breen tells us why.
It's an extraordinary order.
In a scathing opinion and order, Federal District Judge Andrew Hanen calls Justice Department attorneys defending the administration's unilateral move to block the deportations of millions who are in the U.S. illegally clearly unethical. Outlining the numerous times Hanen says DOJ attorneys, quote, clearly misled him about when the programs would actually take effect. Quote, the misconduct in this case was intentional, serious, and material. In fact, it is hard to imagine a more serious, more calculated plan of unethical conduct. Hanen spells out the repeated times DOJ attorneys assured him the programs wouldn't start until mid-February, only to admit weeks after a key ruling in the case that during the relevant time period, the administration had granted deferred action, quote, to approximately 100,000 individuals. Hanen's take? The government's lawyers in this case clearly violated their ethical duties.
It's very rare, but this is what happens when a federal judge thinks that he has effectively been lied to, when lawyers in the courtroom are not being candid with him, where they're affirmatively misleading him, and that comes through in every page of this extraordinary order.
Hanen has ordered the Justice Department to provide a list of the thousands who benefited from the deferred action and mandated that all Justice Department lawyers appearing in any courts in the 26 states who are parties to the case have annual ethics training taught by a, quote, recognized ethics expert who is unaffiliated with the Justice Department. And that's not all. Hanen also ordered Attorney General Loretta Lynch to appoint someone to ensure his order is followed and to report back to him within 60 days about a comprehensive plan to make sure it doesn't happen again. A DOJ spokesperson says only, quote, the department strongly disagrees with the order. That order comes as the Supreme Court is considering the case on the merits, testing how far the administration can or cannot go with respect to unilaterally modifying immigration policy. A decision is expected from the Supreme Court by late June. Brett.
Shannon, thank you. Let's talk about what Shannon's story was all about and what it says about our government oversight. Senior political analyst Brit Hume is here tonight. Good evening, Brit.
Hi, Brett. It is not unusual for judges to object to what they consider unfair conduct by lawyers who practice before them. But the federal judge in the immigration case did goes far beyond that. Judge Hanen found that the Department of Justice's repeated and intentional misrepresentations to the court were, quote, not worthy of any department whose name includes the word justice. He then took the unheard of step, as you, Shannon reported, of ordering the Attorney General to institute remedial ethics training for Washington-based Justice Department lawyers practicing in the states affected by this case. And he pointedly observed that the unethical conduct in this case occurred during the tenure of the now departed Attorney General Eric Holder, who happens also to be the only Attorney General in U.S. history to be held in contempt of Congress. Holder, you may recall, was found to have withheld documents from Congress in an investigation of an ill-fated gun-running sting operated by the Justice Department. Holder's contempt case was referred to the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., who under law has the, quote, duty to take the matter to a grand jury. But that prosecutor never did. After all, he worked for Eric Holder. It will now be up to Holder's successor, Loretta Lynch, to recognize that something is rotten in her department and to do something about it. We'll see. Brett?
What about this? The department strongly disagrees with the order. That's all they said.
Well, that's an interesting reaction, because the misconduct was basically admitted to the court finally by the Justice Department lawyers themselves. The program had gotten started. They had represented to the court that it hadn't. They finally came to the court, like, sometime after the damage was done, and said, oh yeah, there are 100,000 immigrants have already been processed through this program. We kind of overlooked that. So they obviously can't be disputing that. So I guess they must be disputing the judge's language, but I guess they can appeal this order to start this ethics program. But one wonders whether it wouldn't be a better idea to just to have the ethics program. It certainly seems to be needed.
And it could affect other